Hello and welcome back to Formula 1 2021 My Team Career Mode here today for the Austrian Grand Prix. And this race, well, this is going to be a good one for us. It's a place where I am very good at driving. I love Austria. Well, in some cases I love Austria, but it's a good track. I enjoy it when I do good there, and I do good there a lot, so I enjoy this place a lot. Today's race should be a fun one, but we have some upgrades to deal with. We had a chassis upgrade that failed. We're going to do monocoque structure there. We also had secondary flaps for the aero department on our front wing fail. So a lot of failures here in the upgrades sort of area that can't be having, to be honest. If we want to keep up with the front runner, or at least the midfield here, we can't be having these sort of failures. We need to get up with those front runners as well sooner or later. And obviously, that's what we're going to try to do. We don't have too much cash. Hopefully we could get that up so we could potentially get George Russell as a teammate here in, I believe, just 2 weeks now. That includes this race, Austria, and then Silverstone before the contract renewal. We're probably going to drop Zhou Guanyu because he hasn't been all that great. But I would say we'd keep him if we can't afford George Russell. We want to get Russell here simply because he's George Russell. Look at him. Currently 6 mil is his market value. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get that money. We probably won't be able to, but we're going to try everything to get it. Obviously here, George Russell is the team's top priority right now because he's George Russell. I love him. He's my favorite driver. Why not? We replace our gearbox and we head on to what should be a dry Austrian Grand Prix, as you could already see by the sunshine. No rain for quali or the race, as we now head on to FP3. This is practice 3 now. We are looking at just my first initial laps on track outside of quick practice, which I didn't actually run the laps. That was the AI, the computer, simulating them. So these are my first true laps. This is my first true at-speed lap around the Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg. As now we get ready for qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix. Beautiful, sunny day. No rain in sight whatsoever. Should be a great day. I'm always good at this place when it's dry, but as we're going to come around here, you're going to see our first lap behind Ocon and Norris. Not very good, and you know what? I give up. So this is what we get when there's a 19% chance of rain at the worst point in the weekend. Just no. Why is it raining? We're going to be starting P22 because we took a grid penalty. So let's head on to the race then.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve, as it was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the real deal. They're in for a tough race today. They'll be starting out of position due to a penalty from earlier in the weekend.
Yes, it's not the position you want to be in at the start of the Grand Prix. Penalties like this put you in amongst the traffic. but we know they have more pace than those around them, so I expect they'll make some strong progress in the first few laps.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton and Sainz, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Gasly and Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda and Stroll, Giovinazzi, Russell, Nicholas Latifi and Guan Yu Zhou, Mick Schumacher, the real deal, Mazepin and Kimi Raikkonen finishes off the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
This race is going to be a one-stop strategy here today. We're going to fuel the car lower, as you can probably tell by the title. This will backfire on us, and was not a very good idea. As we head now to the 5 red lights, though, for the Austrian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go. Bad getaway, but a good start overall, as we're closing in on Nikita Mazepin. Slower in the secondary phase of that start, but heading down to turn number 1. We're around the outside of Mazepin, trying to get around the outside of Schumacher, and Nicholas Latifi can't really do that. We're ahead of Nikita, at least. So, we're not dead last, though, heading up towards this is turn 2. Now, turn 3, this heavy hairpin. We're going to gain a little bit more than a few spots as we're side by side with Zhou Guanyu. We sneak in front of him, and now we're chasing after George Russell, the hopefully future teammate of us, as we head down into turn number 4. This is chasing after the Williams and Lance Stroll right up the road as well, as we're just cycling through the MFD tabs now, seeing how the car is doing. The control electronics are getting a little bit worn, but nothing for this race will really become a factor. It's a 19-minute video, so I could already guarantee you guys that there is no mechanical failures for us, but there is a yellow flag and now a virtual safety car for no reason at all. I was looking between all these cars and couldn't find anything that would give us a yellow flag, but it's dropped us under the VSC simply because we had cars driving on the racetrack doing what they were supposed to be doing. So since we can't drive, we're just going to resume racing, I guess, then. Anyways, VSC has gone away. Race control has finally regained their sanity. And we now go around the outside of George Russell, a little bit sideways there, almost into him. We might have touched. When I'm recording the audio, I don't actually have game audio, so I can't actually hear any contact, and that was really close, so I don't know if there was any contact. But anyway, still side by side with George Russell. Look at this battle as we head down now towards turn 5. This is where we finally sneak ahead of George up into that 13th position, and now we'll chase after Antonio Giovinazzi and Sebastian Vettel as we're on lap 4 of this race, coming around to complete this lap. It's been a wild race already, an odd race to say the least, already up nearly 10 spots from the start, and by lap 8 we're now closing in on Giovinazzi to make it 10 spots gained since the start of the Grand Prix with DRS activated. I believe Giovinazzi has DRS off of Vettel, though. So, anyways, this is a very optimistic dive bomb, but we make it work with no contact, and we sneak up into that 12th position on track. On track right now for points. Told you I'm good at this place. And we are just storming away and up through this grid for potential points. As now it's on to Sebastian Vettel for P11. Chasing after him in this DRS train. When we use overtake, it seems the AI doesn't use it too much, or their engine just isn't as strong as how strong ours is, and we're just able to go down the outside of Sebastian Vettel and a little bit sideways again. When you're on the outside, those tough hairpins. It's so weird. Like the acceleration, you try to get the power down, you can't really get it down, or else you slide like that. It's so tough, but you have to get that power down to gain the spot. As now, here we go on Yukis Crash for P7 on track. Some people have come into pit. You can see the pit stops have begun. We're going to stay out a couple more laps though here before we eventually do pit. Down the inside of Yukis Crash, trying to get this spot with the old switcheroo. And we get on through up in to the 7th position on track right now, plus 15 spots from the start of the Grand Prix, which is impressive. But here comes Yuki back at us at the entrance of turn number 4. Is he going to get the spot done, or this move done? And the spot, no. That inside just wasn't good enough. We carried the momentum and pinched him in to try to hold that spot. Here comes Yuki back at us, though, into this corner. Not a smart move, though. We shut the door on him and pull a little rather dirty tactic on our huge rival here, as now skies getting cloudy. No rain in the forecast, though. But, of course, after qualifying, you never know what to expect. Here we go on Ocon, then. Esteban Ocon down the inside. He defends, takes the defensive line, and we're going to pull yet another old switcheroo and try to get on past Esteban Ocon. And heading down now towards turn number 4. This spot is done. No, we give him the space down the inside because he's still kind of there. Now Ocon's back in front of us, half a car length. We're going to fight this one down to turn number 5. How about down the inside? Ocon stays round the outside. Here comes the McLaren of Lando Norris as we finally get that spot on Esteban. Man, that move took forever to get done, but we finally sneak up into what is now 4th position on track. As now on lap 15, we're going to have to give up this 4th position to come into the pits, as we completely missed the white lines on the pit entry, but this is the game, not real life, so I won't be penalized for that. Coming into the pits now, it's a clean entry other than that. And into the pits we come to get the medium tires, and a 2.1 second stop, almost in the 1 second range. I believe Red Bull's 1.8 second pit stop is the record all time, if I believe I'm right, or if I am right there. As we come out of the pits now in P13, so about where we were running before the pit stops. Zhou Guanyu has not pit. I don't know. I think Alonso has pit, as yellow flags behind us for, I believe that's Kimi Räikkönen. Here's a look at the replay. Entering turn number 3, he just lost it and went around. Yeah, too early on the power, to say the least. As now later on, Yuki Tsunoda, we give him the room, but he gets on the curb and gets sideways and loses it. Yuki Tsunoda has spun and has crashed here in Austria. He remains in the race, but we have another problem on our hands. If you didn't see it back there, our fuel is bad. We are saving. We gave up so much time to Sebastian Vettel, who now gets in front of us. We're going to let him go here to save fuel down towards turn number 1 by letting off early. And now, down towards turn 3, the next heavy braking zone, we're going to go down the outside of Sebastian. Watch this, though, entering turn number 3. You could see he gains on us right before the braking zone. That's because we let off the throttle to save more fuel. We're only 12 hundredths of a lap to the good right now, as we're going to let Sebastian Vettel go here, but we get turned a little bit by Esteban Ocon trying to get back up in the line, and that ruins our chances of getting Vettel here for the time being. On lap 24, looks like I might have to push, but I'm too worried that I don't have the fuel to really be doing this, because we are having a major fuel scare here in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, which I believe is currently being dominated by our Mercedes over the 2 Red Bull cars. And one of the Red Bull powered or affiliated cars of Yuki Tsunoda has had a major incident, as now we finally get past Sebastian Vettel. Getting off throttle there for a little bit, down into the corner, we stay in front. Now we have 0.2 of a lap left of fuel, but still 12, make that 11.5 laps left to go in this race. We'll see what happens and what goes down here in these final couple of laps at the Austrian Grand Prix. Now, around the outside, here goes Sebastian Vettel, trying to keep his foot in it around the outside. He's going to stay with us with the momentum off the corner. However, through here, we're going to pinch him on exit. Nothing he can really do there. I'm just running the line. And no contact made, but he backs out as now Daniel Ricciardo and a McLaren is behind us. This should be a very tough spot to defend as we run wide. That's not going to help us, but Ricciardo loses his front wing, hitting us, and we have major damage to the underbody of the floor of this vehicle. And the car is now in, well, probably not the best of shape. I think what the underbody damage is going to do is it's going to make this car a lot harder to drive. As now, round the outside goes Gasly. But Pierre Gasly, nothing he can really do here as we shove him out wide. Gasly now in the slipstream with DRS. We're using our ERS deployment. Are we going to let Gasly go? Are we? No. We stay in front. We pinch him down to the inside, but we get sideways on the curbing out of the corner, putting down too much power. Here comes Gasly, and with 6 laps to go, Pierre Gasly has moved up into the 8th position. Are we going to get him? No, not quite. And here comes Alonso around the outside. All of a sudden, our race is starting to fall apart, it's seeming here. As with this fuel issue, we've had to yield the position to Gasly. We couldn't get him back, and we go around. As I don't know what happened to Alonso. We might have made contact with him at turn 3 there, that one lap. But we spin around. It hasn't hurt us, however, as Yuki Tsunoda has caught back up. He's made up the 20-something seconds that he's lost. However, it won't make a difference here because we are a lap down. So this will be our final lap of the race. And we come home with points, 2 points, I believe, in P9 here at the Austrian Grand Prix. And to go along with that, driver of the day. Good race overall. We salvaged a great result.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
Tough race, but a great result with P9 in the running order here today. In a minute, we'll see where Zhou Guanyu ended up in this race, because I don't think he was too far behind us. When the checkered flag flew, he was in P14, but I mean, good day overall for the team. I believe that's one of Guanyu's best finishes so far this season. He does have 1 point from, I believe, the last race out in France. Anyways, we look here at the driver standings. We are P10, Guanyu down in P16. And the constructor standings, we still sit P7. Aston Martin has 10 points. They are P8. As that will wrap things up here. So we could see a replay from the start of the race in our highlights. So thank you all very much for watching. As look at all that dust fly up and smoke and stuff from lockups and just people getting off track and hitting the ground. That's crazy. I never noticed that. Anyways, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. We're looking to get 1,000 subscribers here by the end of the summer so I can start making some money off of this. Anyways, have a great day. Goodbye.